Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatadini Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna and welcome all the devotees to the level 2 classes from ISKCON Mangaluru. So yesterday we started with the devotional service, right? So this is chapter 12. Yeah. So, and we started the discussions with Arjuna's question, isn't it? So Arjuna, after seeing the universal form, so he wanted to clarify which is better, impersonal form or the personal form. And because he was attached to the personal form. And then the Lord confirms in the second verse saying that the personal form is the one which is better, right? And say he endorses it. And then we saw the next couple of verses, right? So wherein the Lord actually says that the result, right? So whosoever actually meditate upon or whosoever are close to the impersonal form, they will also reach to the destination, but the path is very difficult, klesha, right? So he says there is a lot of painful journey, isn't it? And bhakti is the straightforward thing. And then I think we stop it there. So today we'll see the progressive. Okay, I think it goes. So today we'll be seeing the progressive path. Yeah. So yeah, and the other thing is in section 7, he says that those who are actually the devotees, right? So who are having complete faith and surrender onto the Lord, the Lord actually comes and picks him from the material ocean, right? So now we'll actually go into the other section, which is the progressive stage of devotional service. Okay. So wherein the Lord will give us the different options of doing the devotional service. Okay. First, he'll start with the best. Okay. If we are not able to do that, right, he'll give the second best. Okay. And then if we say that the second best is also not possible, right, he gives the third best. If you are not able to follow the third best, then he gives the fourth best. But he gives options to us. Okay. So Lord is very merciful. Okay. So he's giving us options after options. So in devotional service. Only thing is we will have to see so where we will fit in. Yeah? So that is something so which we'll have to see through. Okay. So in which category will we fit in? Okay. So that's the bit so which the Lord actually tells in. Okay. So the first bit, right? So he says that these are the pure devotees. Okay. Ananya Bhakti. Right. So he says that Mayeva mana adatsva May buddhi niveshaya Nivashasya Mayeva Atha urdam na samsaya. So he says that just fix your mind upon me, right? The Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Okay. So the Lord is actually saying that. So Mayeva mana adatsam. So he's saying that use both your fix your mind and intelligence on me. Okay. So if you do so, right? So the basic thing is the direct connection. So this is the pure devotional service. Okay. So those who always think of the Lord, right? So we actually saw these things in our second chapter, isn't it? And in the 4 chapters and other chapters also we have seen, right? It's a complete samadhi on the Lord, right? They are in trance with the Lord, right? So they see everything in the for the Lord, right? So and the Sthita Prajna we saw, right? So this word we saw in chapter 2 as well, right? So it's actually complete focus on the Lord, right? And even there are different verses also supporting them, right? So the Lord says that if at all, this is the first category and then the topmost. Okay. So mana and buddhi. So he's saying both. And so nivashasya. So he says that you will live in me, right? So in that, and then he says that na samshaya. So there is no doubt in it. Okay. If so, they all the things, right? So everything for him is Krishna. Yeah. So even examples of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is in that category. So wherein he used to see everything for Krishna, right? So if he used to walk, so mostly all his walks were in the abroad, right? So during the initial stages. So whenever he used to see a big building and all, right? So he used to think that, okay, so this building would have been a better place. So every time he'll see a building, right? So he'll think if we can buy this, right? So not for sense gratification, yeah. So that is actually for the Lord. So if he sees, okay, in a prime location, he sees a building, then he'll think that, okay, if we buy this, then we can actually turn it into a temple, and then there will be a lot of people who will be coming in, right? So even if when he used to see big buses, so he used to think, okay, if he can use this buses actually for Harinam, for Sankirtan party. So and then they did it. So in the US, there were so many buses which are flying. Yeah? So that's the thing. And here, basically, this is a direct relationship wherein the reciprocation also happens, right? So though he'll be in this material planet, right? But for them, right? So the connection is different, right? And so whenever they chant, right? So even the Lord, so it's been said that so when one chants the holy name, right? Krishna actually dances on the tongue. Okay. So that's the thing. So even if you look at our Guru Maharaj, right? So he was physically not that good, right? But say spiritually is so joyful, right? So that's the thing. Okay. So that category is very different. Yeah. That's the first quality though. So this is basically same thing. So fixed in me engages your intelligence in me. Yeah. So benefit is you'll always be in me, always without any doubt. Okay. So devotee is transcendental form, very beginning lives in Krishna without a doubt. Okay. So these are all things we covered. Okay. Yeah. So the next category. So first thing is, so if you're not able to do Ananya Bhakti, which is pure Bhakti, right? So then he says that you do Sadhana Bhakti. Okay. This is the next version. Okay. So अथ समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन तथा mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. So he says that, oh my dear Arjuna, oh winner of wealth, right? If you cannot find your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of bhakti yoga. In this way, you will develop a desire to attend to me. So he's saying that if you're not able to do, so if you're not able to fix your mind, right, and say if you're not able to do pure bhakti, right, so then he says that do sadhana bhakti. So sadhana bhakti is what? So following the rules and regulations, isn't it? So like getting up early in the morning, right, say attending the Mangal Harti, right? And then doing your japa, right? So doing services and offering garlands and all these things, right? So all these things are nothing but our sadhana, right? So it will actually purify. Okay. So basically, if we do these all things, right? So this will actually purify us, and then say we can actually with our senses dovetailing to the Lord's senses, right? So the contamination, whatever we have, right? So that will actually move out. Okay. And then, so with the guidance of the spiritual master, right? And then, say, eating the sanctified food, right? And so listening uh, to the lectures and Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, and all these class things, right? So you will get purify, right? So if you do these things also, right? So you will attain the love of Godhead. But this has to be done with complete faith and say with complete surrender to the Lord. Yeah. So if you are not able to do that, at least in this, right? So we should not have uh, some material stuff, right? So thinking and saying that what will I get? So am I getting recognized? And then we'll see. So even the Lord will actually discuss in the last 8 verses, right? So he'll actually discuss the qualities also, which actually endear Lord Krishna. So these things you'll get to know. So this is the next thing, right? And then anyone knows why Arjuna is called Dhananjaya here? Any guesses? Okay. Then this we'll discuss at the end, or else you can come up with this answer in the next class. Okay. So if you cannot perform, then do actually the sadhana bhakti, right? So regulative principles of bhakti yoga, and you will develop a desire to attain me. So by doing it right with the association and with the spiritual masters, so push will actually get to the devotional service, right? So these are same thing. So guidance of guru, right? Rise early, so chanting, offering flowers to the deities, cook for the deities, honor prasadam, right? Constant hearing of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Qualification to practice, anyone can practice, and this is main, right? So bhakti yoga is simple, right? It's not very complicated, but the thing is practicing it or following it is very difficult, right? So if you look in, right, so yeah, so one thing is analyzing and understanding the purpose and all those things. So we need the help of the gurus, spiritual masters, and our shiksha gurus will actually give us that information. But apart from that, right? So even so rest all things are the normal activities only. The only thing is we'll have to do it with tinge of bhakti, right? So even the Lord says, right? in the Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam verse, right? So he says everything should be done with bhakti, with a tinge of love. So next, if you're not able to do the second thing also, third option, third best, right? So third best is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay. Abhyase api asamartho asi matkarma parmo bhava madartham api karmani kurvan siddhim avapyasi. Okay. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So he says that the next option, right? The next option is, if you are not able to do Bhakti Yoga, you are not able to do sadhana also, right? So then he says that engage our external senses for working for Krishna. Okay. So, for example, if an temple is getting built, right? So you can actually, if you have land, then you can actually offer the land for the Lord. So if you have capital, give it to the land. Or if you're doing some business, right? So you can actually give that, right? And so, and then leave it. So you need not actually look for the results of it, right? So in this example, if you say, right, so if you're actually yeah, if you're into construction, then you can give your labors in the building of the temple, right? So if not, then you can actually give the granites if you're doing granite business to the temple. So because you can't do both the things, you're not able to do the first one and the second one, right? At least do this bit, right? So not only this, but any other aspect which we can do it. Okay. And the other example for the simple example for us in this class would be that, so you can post the 18-day classes information in any of the groups you are in, your WhatsApp groups, right? And then leave it. So that's Nishkama Karma Yoga, right? So you did it, but the result is not in your hands, right? So let others, if others are taking up this opportunity, and then so they're actually getting closer to the Lord, right? So that's wonderful, isn't it?
Prabhuji, I have one question on this.
Yeah.
What is the difference between Nishkama Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga? There is one more. Are they different or
Yes,
same?
Mataji.
Okay.
Karma Yoga is you're working, that's the figurative activity. So wherein these things we discussed in our chapter 2 itself. So
Okay.
wherein Karma Yoga is figurative activity. So wherein you are actually making some deal with the Lord. Okay. And then you want some, you're doing something, right, for the Lord, but you're expecting the results. Okay. So you want to enjoy the results. Say, for example, so you want good marks. Okay. So you go and then pray to Lord Ganesha. So, and then somebody gives you some saying that this stuti, you actually do it right for 3 months, and so you'll get the results, but you'll have to do it perfectly. So if you do that, you please Ganesha, and then you get good scores, right? So that's the thing. Nishkam Karma Yoga is you do the work, but you're not looking for the results. Okay.
But then, which is that one, Prabhuji, in which we can offer the results to the Lord? Which?
Say now, so somebody, so you did some, for example, okay. So in there was a book distribution, okay, and then so you actually did that service very well, okay. So and then say I think you topped it, okay, and then the temple is actually giving you some token of appreciation, okay, and then so they're taking your name and all, right? So Now, whatever things you get in, right? So that is actually you went to actually distribute the holy name. Okay. So if any fame comes us, right? So we should not be attached to it. Okay. And then rather, so we should actually direct that to the Lord and our Guru who gave us this opportunity. If we actually take that results onto us, right? And then we feel that me, myself, right? So then we are gone. So that we'll get puffed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing, Mataji. So we should not. So basically, things is we are not incapable. Okay. So, but when we are interested something, right? So we are incapable. So we'll have to ask for the mercy of the Lord and do it, right? So if it is successful and then if everything works in, right? So we should not take those credit to ourselves. So if we take it, then we become puffed up. This
This
helps,
is
Mata?
yes, Prabhuji. This is Nishkama Yoga, right? Which you
Yes.
just said. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So this is also done. Okay. So if you are not able to do that, then we saw the three, right? So now the Lord will give the other option. Okay. So he says that अथैतदपि असक्तो असि कर्तुम् मद्योगम् आश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं तथा कुरु यथात्मनवान्. So if you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act giving up all results of work and try to be self-situated. Okay. So these things also, one may gradually elevate to the stage of knowledge. So, but these are the next versions. Okay. And then this is the last one. Okay. Shayo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnana vishashyate dhyanat karma phala tyagas tyajak chantir anantaram. So he says that if you cannot take to the practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. So better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Okay. So this is little bit more diluted version. Okay. So now in this, right? So the example we have seen through, right? So I just gave the example, but in this, we will see that the Lord is actually saying that if at all, one thing is he's saying first cultivate the knowledge. Okay. So it is actually better to cultivate the knowledge, saying that, so what knowledge? So knowledge of the Lord. Okay. So first thing is knowledge comes in wherein you will get to know what is body and what is soul, right? And then as we went through these chapters, right, the opulences of the Lord, right? So and then how to do devotional service, so all these things, right? So if we get to know, right? So and then this is mostly karma yoga type, right? So here, if you look in, right, so why renunciation of fruit is mentioned? Because so this karma yoga is the lowest, okay, of the yoga ladder, right? So Krishna says that it is better than meditation because it is more practical and it does not disturb the mind. Okay. So these are the different things. Okay. Even the last bit is you do the, at least in this way also, right? You get connected to the Lord. So this is basically the synopsis, right? So first fix your mind. If you're not able to do regulative principles, so work for Krishna and then giving results of your work. Okay. So these are the categories. So we can actually choose any one of them. Okay. So the fifth one is cultivation of knowledge, but again, results one understands his real position. So you'll get to know, and then knowledge will develop to meditation. Okay, so this is nothing but whatever we spoke, right? So about the knowledge of the soul, right? So, and then we'll get to know the about the Lord, right? So, and then so you'll get to know the next stage about the devotional service. So these all are the various steps. So if you are doing any of them also, right? So that's okay. So that's prescribed, but there is a sequence of it. Okay. So if you look here, right? So progressive stage, right? So this is the topmost. So fixing your mind on Krishna is the topmost. And then following regulative principle is second. Okay. So work for Krishna. So this is for the third stage. Okay. And then renunciation, cultivation of knowledge, and meditation are the lowest stage. So this is the indirect path. Okay. So even if we are in either of these categories, right? So we'll actually progress in the devotional service. Okay. But I think, say, we'll have to be in these two categories. Okay. So either we do the sadhana bhakti properly, right? Or at least we work for Krishna, right? So, or else if we start here also, we'll go to here and then slowly here and then slowly here. Okay. But this is the sequence. Okay. So these are the four categories. So which we can actually follow through, right? So this is what the Lord actually gives in. Okay. So whatever we do, right? The underlining story is whatever we do, right? So we do it for Krishna and then go, don't get attached. Okay. And then follow the sadhana. So with that, right, so you'll get the peace of mind. Okay. So other things we leave it. So take an example. So before coming to this, right, so at least you're all in level 2. So I expect that you're reading something and then you're chanting for some time, right? So at least you're engaging the time in a more appropriate way, right? So if at all you're not doing this and then so you're attending Bhagavad-gita classes and you have your Bhakti Vrikshas and then so few of are attending the daily Srimad Bhagavatam classes also, right? So with this, right, so we are actually utilizing the time in a more uh, structured way and then so it is utilizing for the proper thing. So with that, right, so we are actually getting rid of so many unnecessary things, right? So or else we might have used those times for actually looking at the mobile or some gossips, some TV and all those things, right? So which doesn't elevate us in any form, right? So that's one thing which you can feel through though, right? So now Krishna actually comes in to the next verses where he gives the qualities that endears one to Krishna. Okay. These are from highest to lowest again. Okay. So if we have these qualities, right? So Krishna, so you'll get closer to Krishna. And then developing them is not that easy. Yeah. अद्वेष्ट सर्वभूतानां मैत्र्य करुण एव च निर्ममो निरङ्कार समदुःख सुखकस्मि सन्तुष्ट सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चय मयर्पितमनो बुद्धिर् यो मद्भक्त समे प्रियः. So he says that one who is not envious, okay, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, okay, and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self controlled. okay, and engaged in devotional service with determination. Okay, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Okay, so the Lord has given so many things here, right? So he said sukha dukkha, right? And then samadukha, right? Sorry, samadukha sukha shami, right? And the first thing itself, right? Advesta is non-envious. Okay, so is non-envious, and then is friendly and is kind. Okay, karuna is kindness. And then nirmama in the sense, no sense of proprietorship. Okay, so nirankara, without false ego, right? So all these things, if we have, right? And then who is equally equipoised in both happiness and sorrow, right? And then he is actually forgiving, right? So we should have these many qualities. Okay, so if we say and engaged in devotional service with determination, with his both, and his mind and intelligence both are fixed on to me. So such devotee is very dear to me, is what the Lord says in. Okay, so this is the example. Okay, so basically we can actually think of Prahlad Maharaj here, right? So Prahlad Maharaj, if you take the example of Prahlad Maharaj, it very well suits him, right? So wherein he was not envious to his father as well, right? So though his father was actually torturing him in so many ways, so rather he was actually more merciful to his father also. So his father actually tried to kill him, so with so many means, right? But at the end, what did Prahlad Maharaj ask to the Lord? So he said that, please forgive my father. I know that he's a demon, but please forgive me. So that is non-enviousness. So we should have that heart, right? So it's very difficult. So if somebody is actually trying to think of ill, or so who's doing some wrong things to us, right? So we don't have that heart, so wherein so we can actually be non-envious to him. So if we have those things, right? So then that's the thing. So that's very difficult, right? And then you should not think that you are the proprietor. Okay. So even say Lord Brahma, he does the creation, right? So but before doing the creation, he did so much of tapa penances, and then he actually asked for the mercy of the Lord. Okay, so he didn't uh, say that. So now I am the CEO of this, right? So I'll do it on my own. No, right? And then you'll have to be tolerant, right? So you should be equal in both happiness and distress. So this is the example of. We can take the example of Jada Bharata. So Bharat Maharaj's third life, right? So wherein say he was actually, his brothers were treating him very ill, right? So they made him to actually stand in the fields as crow, right? So he was actually holding a stick, and then he was actually standing there, right? So they used to give him burned rice to eat, right? Because they felt that he's good for nothing. But see, he was never in, so he never actually um, he never actually talk ill about them, or say he never took any revenge against them, nothing, right? So that's a few of the examples. And then the other example is Ambarish Maharaj also. So he fits in very well here, right? So uh, the demon came, and then so there were so many things which happened to kill him, right? So but Durvasa Muni actually was very envious of him. But at the end, when Durvasa Muni came, so he actually forgave him, right? So that's all the category, right? So they are tolerant. So there was no sense of ownership, right? And then they were happy, right? So all these things. So it's very difficult. So all these things you can connect with these great personalities. Yeah. Okay. So whenever there is a distressful, so they are equipoised, right? So when and so you see, so what is the result of thinking this way? He's always quiet and patient, and despite many distressful conditions, right? So because they don't think anyone is their enemy. Okay, so that's the platforms in which they live in. So for the enemies also they think of are doing good, right? So in distressful conditions, if something goes wrong, so what does he think? He thinks that these are my past deeds. I should have suffered far, far greater, but I'm suffering less by the Lord's mercy, right? So, and then he thinks that the person is acting as an enemy due to my past misdeeds. So it is better to protest, better to suffer than protest. So take the example of Haridas Thakur also. So he was beaten up in the 24 markets. So he didn't actually protest. So he said that, so I deserve this, right? So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your costless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So if we do all those things and then if we tolerate, if we have patience, then yes. So we saw all throughout these journeys, right? So Prahlad Maharaj, he actually was saved by the Lord, right? For Ambarish Maharaj, it was the Sudarshan Chakra which came in, isn't it? So whichever case you see, right? So for Haridas Thakur, though uh, Haridas Thakur was beaten up, so Haridas Thakur was not taking the whips. So Lord Chaitanya was taking whips on his behalf, right? So that's the thing. यस्मान्नोद्विजते लोकान्नोद्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षा भयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो येष च मे प्रियः. So he for whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed, okay, by anxiety, who is steady in happiness and distress is very dear. Okay. So this is another example. Okay. So anyone knows this pastime? No?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, this is a famous pastime though. Subran Mataji, any guesses?
Prabhuji, no idea about this.
Okay. So this is Chitraketu Maharaj. Okay. So he got the he was actually traveling uh, in this plane. Okay. And then So he was traveling all throughout the space and then say different lokas, right? So and then when he went to Mahesh Dham, right? So there he saw that Lord Shiva is actually teaching, right? So he's actually discussing Srimad Bhagavatam with his disciples by um, by sitting Mother Parvati on his lap. Yeah, so Chitraketu Maharaj actually say he didn't mean wrongly, but he said that so this is not a good thing. So you're teaching your disciples by uh, making Mother Parvati to sit on your lap. So and then what will the others think of this, right? So he just said that. So it was not in a wrong intention, but he mentioned that said the this doesn't look good. Actually, he says, okay. Then the Parvati gets offended there, and then she says that how can you actually come and instruct Lord Shiva? And then she says that so in the next life you will become a demon. Okay, so and then there, right? So this Chitraketu Maharaj will not actually argue or anything. So he'll actually fold his hands and then he'll say that whatever you say, that is fine. And then he'll leave. Okay, so that's the thing. So he's steady. So he was not at all disturbed. So when he was being told, so he was actually flying in the plane and then the Mother Parvati cursed him and then he became a demon. So at that time, actually, Lord will say, these things will come in Bhagavatam, so wherein Lord Shiva will say that, um, say, the devotees of Narayana are more beautiful than you. Because even though you cursed him, right? So he's happy to go and then do the service there also. So the next life he becomes the Vitrasura, right? So even here, Prahlad Maharaj, we can take the example, right? So he does not didn't get, even he was put in fire, right? So no anxiety, no difficulty, no fearfulness. And then even today, Namnist Prabhu was actually in the class, he was saying that in material life, right? So how our heart gets pumped up, right? So for any small anxiety, right? So we actually, uh, so our heartbeat and pulses get increased, isn't it? So if at all there is turbulence in the flight which you are flying in, right? So there is so much of anxiety which we get in. Yeah. Anipeksha suchir daksha udasino gata vyatah sarvarambha parityagi yomad bhakta same priya. He says that a devotee is not dependent, okay, on ordinary course of activity, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and who does not strive for some result is very dear. Okay. So here he has given so many qualities. Yeah? 2.16, right? Anepeksha is nothing but neutral. Okay. And then Suchi is pure, Daksha is expert. Okay. And then Udasina is nothing but free from care, Gatavyatha, freed from all distress. Okay. Sarva Arambha of all endeavors. Okay. And then Parityaga, who is actually a renouncer. Okay. So if somebody has these qualities, okay, so then he is actually so very dear to the Lord. Okay. So the Lord is giving the qualities. If he have these kind of qualities, then he is actually having his close to him, right? Okay. So
Okay.
in here, right,
One
we can.
question, Prabhuji, again. Sorry. What does it mean that first line? A devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. What is that ordinary course of activities they're referring to?
So this is mundane categories.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
So so basically, the best example is take the money. Okay. So in our material life, money is everything for us, isn't it? Why do we have work so hard, right? So we do our we do job, right? Say we earn, right? Basically, mostly to meet our financials only, isn't it? So at the end of the day, end of the month, so either for the children's education or the home EMIs, whatever it is, right? So we endeavor for them. So if you look in on the flip side of a devotee, right? So those who are living in temple, right? Think of the devotees who are living in the temple. So they don't endeavor for all these things, isn't it? They don't struggle for these things. So they are happy if it comes in, if money comes in, right? Say they are happy to build the temple. Say they'll create goshalas. If they get more money, so then they can actually print books, or say if they get more money, then they can actually arrange big feasts, right? So they'll use everything for the Lord. So they are not agitated. If they're not getting also, right? So whatever minimum they get, they're happy. Similarly, think of the other activities, right? Say like they are not actually inclined towards the material designation. Okay, this director, that director doesn't. So they're not into that platform only because they know that these designations are only for the body, material stuff. So now designation is going to take us to heaven, or so is not going to take you to Svargaloka, or so leave about Krishna Loka. So Krishna Loka and all those things are different thing, right? So that's the thing. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So they're basically clean, Suchi, and then the other thing is they're Suchi, both the ways. Okay. So one thing is internally also by chanting and then the following the sadhana and all those things, right? So they actually become very cleansed internally, and outwardly, so they actually bath thrice a day. So even they're clean both internally and outwards, right? In these days, so there are generation. In these generations, if you see, people actually take bath at 12, or some may not. So that's the situation, right? And then they are very expert. Okay. So if you look at in this slide, right? So we have Hanuman. So Hanuman is Daksha, is very expert, right? And then is Parityagi also. So he never takes credit for anything, right? So if you look in, right, so when he actually went to Lanka, so he has to actually go through so many hurdles. So while he was traveling in the ocean, there was a demon, so which actually wanted him to enter into his mouth, right? So he becomes smaller. So that's all Daksha. He was doing the service of the Lord. So he becomes small and then he entered and then he came out. So he didn't waste his time actually fighting with that. He could have fought because when he was trying to grow, so the demon was also trying to grow. And then he said, he thought that there is no point in actually fighting with this demon. So rather she has a desire that I should go into the mouth and come back. He becomes so small and then come back. That's it. So those things, right? So those are the things, right? So And the other thing is he's actually carrying this. He couldn't identify which is Sanjeevani here, right? He took the whole mountain, isn't it? And then before doing it, so he prayed all the living beings on that mountain, saying that I'm going to take this. So can you all actually vacate this particular place so that I can take it up? That's the thing, right? So that's expertness, right? So it's not, and then not be getting attached also. So it's not that somebody has told us to actually do, okay, to a work, and then say we don't apply our brain itself. Okay, so it is that, so we'll have to use our brain also to actually get the maximum benefit. Okay, I think we covered these all things. Yeah. Yeah. Yo na harshyati na dvesti, na sochati na kankshati, subha subha parityaga bhakti mam ye same priya. So one who neither rejoices nor grieves, who never who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Okay. So anything which is auspicious and inauspicious things also, right? So is very dear to me. Okay. So in here, right? So we'll actually um, think of whom. So what example we can give? I think, yeah. So I think in the purport itself, Prabhupada mentions that if at all, right, if someone actually loses something which is very dear to him, okay, so he doesn't lament for it, okay. So he's not into, he does not get into distress, okay. So he accepts the whatever is the results of it, right? Yeah. So neither rejoices nor grieves for the material gain or loss, okay. So here you see he has given more examples. So this is also from purport saying that not anxious to get a son or a disciple, not laments by getting, nor laments by not getting them. So in either case, he is not lamenting. Okay. So if he gets, it's okay. So if he doesn't get also, it is okay. Right? So he's not saying that I said only these things should happen. Okay. So he doesn't lament. So if it is not happening is also okay. Right? It's not that if something is not happening, then he actually sits not doing anything. Take the example of Arjuna. So Arjuna, initially he was not interested to fight the battle, isn't it? Because he was feeling sympathy for his kingsman, right? So his opponent. So what will happen to the soldiers, right? So what will happen to my grandfathers if I kill them? So, but he was actually being instructed by Krishna, and then he fought it, right? Isn't it? And then when his son also died, Abhimanyu, isn't it? So though he lamented, but it's not that he lamented and he left the battlefield and then he went away. No, he actually fought the next day also, and then he won the battle, right? So that's the thing. Samasatru cha mitre cha tatha mana apamanayo शीतोष्ण सुख दुखेषु समसंग विवर्जितः तुल्यानिंद स्तुतिर्मनु मौनी संतुष्ट येन केनचित् अनिकेत स्थिरमतिर् भक्तिमान मे priyo naraha. So he says that one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor, dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. So all these qualities, right? So we'll have to test ourselves. Okay, take a paper and pen and then see where do we stand. We can rate ourselves and then we can see what kind of category we are into, right? It's very easy. The list is there. Put it in an Excel. Try in a rating of 1 to 5, 1 being the best and 5 being the worst, right? So, and then you'll have to be truthful to yourself. Okay, so nobody knows you better than others. So if you want to gauge yourself, these are the things. And then if we have these things, right, so it's not only spiritually, but in material life also we can succeed much better, right? So here we discuss most of the things, right? So heat and cold we know. So it's not that only during the summer we get up early in the morning and then bath and then chant, but even in the cold we'll have to do it. And in the summer uh, it's very hot, so we'll not cook, doesn't help, right? So all those things we know, right? We discuss this fame and all those things, right? So there, here one thing is always silent. Okay, this thing we'll have to cover a little bit. So he's always silent in the sense he's always silent for this material things. Okay, say like he doesn't show or he doesn't get involved in this gram katha or this politics and all these things, right? But it doesn't mean that he's silent forever. He speaks whenever it is required. So whenever there is a requirement, he speaks, and then whenever he speaks about the Lord. Or so he gives the proper directive. Okay, so he doesn't talk nonsense. So that's the thing which is mentioned as being silent. Okay, it's not that we are dumb. Okay. And then who doesn't care for any residence. Okay. So in the sense, so the devotee is happy. So if you give him a palatable building, okay, you give him a air conditioned room, he is happy. If not, you give him a dormitory also, so he can sleep. Okay. So Prabhupada used to say that say we can even sleep in the devotee can sleep in the 5-star hotel or even underneath a tree. So for them, that's not a problem. Okay. So that's the thing. So doing all those things because they are fixed, because they knew that so the body only needs rest. Okay, for them it doesn't matter so whether it's a 5-star hotel or it is a normal dormitory. Okay. The only thing is they want to give some rest to the body for 6 hours and then say get up and then start their activities, right? So in that way they are okay. Look at our Goswamis, right? So the Goswamis used to stay in Vrindavan. They never used to stay underneath the same tree for more than a day, right? Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, so they used to change the trees every day. They'll never sit in one tree, underneath a tree. So that's all very difficult, but yes. So these all things are being given, right? So equipoised individuality is always free from contamination, does not care for any residence, right? Silence. He only speaks the essentials, right? So he doesn't talk, right? Happy in all conditions, fixed determination, right? Equal to friends and enemies, always engaged in devotional service. Okay. Then we'll come to the last verse after this. Okay. I think these all things are nothing but the qualities which we have spoken, right? So in the purport, you actually put these all things, right? Then you'll actually get to know these things. Yeah. This is the last verse, okay? Ye tu dharma amritam idam yathoktam pariyupasate shraddhadan mata parama bhaktaste taiva ataiva me priyaha. He who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me. So he says that whosoever actually makes Krishna as the goal, all right, so he is very, very dear to him. Okay. So who should take? So this is all the synopsis. Okay. So what we will do is we'll just read through Prabhupada's purport. Yeah. So this is the conclusion slide. Okay. So this is the thing. We'll just go and read Prabhupada's purport 1 minute. So let me actually. So it's not a big purport though. So it'll hardly take 2 more minutes. Okay. So this is the verse which we read in. Okay. So in this chapter, from verse 2 through the end, right, from Maya Avasya Mano Yemam, fixing the mind on me through Yetu Dharmam Dharmatmaram Idam, the religion of eternal engagement, the Supreme Lord has explained the process of transcendental service for approaching me. So this is all he has spoken, right? So he said all devotional service, right? And then what are the ways of doing the devotional service, and then who is dear to him. So he has given all these things, right? Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and he accepts a person engaged in them. So whosoever is engaged in him, right, he accepts them. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman or one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Lord of Godhead, was raised by Arjuna. This was the first question which Arjuna has raised, impersonal Brahman or the personal form. And the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service of personality of Godhead is the best. Okay. So Krishna actually has revealed this, saying that devotional service is the best of all the spiritual realization. In other words, in this chapter, it is decided that through good association, one develops attachment of pure devotional service and thereby accepts a bona fide spiritual master, right? And from him begins to hear and chant, observes the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment, and devotion, and thus becomes engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. So basically, the importance is on devotional service, and then to have a spiritual master, right? Right, and then should take up the sadhana, right? This path is recommended in this chapter. Therefore, there is no doubt that devotional service is the only absolute path for self-realization. For attainment of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the impersonal conception of the Supreme Absolute Truth as described in this chapter is recommended only up to the time one surrenders himself for the self-realization. So you can do it, but until you have this self-realization. In other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with the pure devotee, the impersonal conception may be beneficial. In the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, one works without furtive result, meditates and cultivates knowledge to understand spirit and matter. There they get to know what is spirit and matter. This we discussed yesterday, right? This is necessary as long as one is not in association of a pure devotee. Okay, so once those persons are actually associating with a pure devotee, so then fortunately, if one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness and pure devotional service, he does not need to undergo step-by-step improvements in spiritual realization. So our path is direct. So it is like using the lift and going to the 50th floor. So rather than climbing 50th floor by steps, right? So devotional service as described in the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is more congenial. One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of devotional service. Hare Krishna. Okay. So anything you want to ask, Matajis? If not, then we'll wind up. Thank you for your association. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.